Hello and welcome to Bill Ricardi's weekly Patreon update. My name, of course, is Bill Ricardi, and I am a creator and purveyor of fantasy novels. If you hear any sort of strangeness in the background, that, of course, as always, will be Loki, my insane cat, and co-writer of several of my novels. What do we have going today? Today we talk about the launch of Cadence, which actually happens today, and that's primarily what we will be talking about. But we'll also try to cover what's coming up next, our progress with the second book in the Blackstaff Siblings trilogy, and, of course, what's going on the romance side of the picture. So, let's begin. First of all, I'm very proud to say that I was able to convert the Cadence, the second novel in the Ehi saga. I won't even call it a trilogy because I think I have like 8 books planned. The second book in the Ehi saga is ready to go. It's out on the 5 major stores. I am just checking on Apple because as of last night, it was only on 3 of the 51 Apple stores, and those 3 were all Pacific Rim. So I'm wanting to make sure that everything is all set for this morning. I'll do that as soon as the Patreon video is up. But the links, more importantly, to all of these things are up on the website. The website has received a huge revamp with all of the broad availability of all of the books that have gone broad. So the likes of Another Stupid Demon has all of the links. The likes of Cadence and the likes of Rhythm have all the links to the big 5 stores. So that's all done. The big announcements should be going out in email. They should be going out on Patreon. Everything that you would expect as far as these announcements are concerned, they're about to happen. What we haven't done is any big advertising. Why? The big advertising comes after. And the big advertising doesn't come on the second book ever. It comes on the first book. So we're going to start pushing Rhythm far more aggressively than we ever have been in the past. We're going to start taking out ads on Rhythm. We're going to start trying to get early reviews on Rhythm, not on Cadence. It's because Rhythm never really had a launch like that. There were other things going on at the time, the audiobook, etc., etc. So we never got a chance to launch Rhythm, and really it wasn't worth launching a single title like that unless it's a free title. That's just the way of the world with independent publishing these days. However, my free title in the fantasy realm gets a lot of traction. The Prolific Works version of that novel, just in the last few days, has gotten me literally 100 new people on the mailing list. So I'm blown away by Prolific Works and what they can do with a free novel. The Princess of Last Resort giveaway ended yesterday. That should also generate a bunch of interest in non-original series stuff. You know, people will look at my larger collection. So now is a good time to push Rhythm so that after they get used to Rhythm, Cadence comes along and they buy that as well. That's the plan. The plan is to push Rhythm. We need more reviews for it, though. It's only got 2 reviews, and we need to get at least 10 before we start using the traditional conduits of advertising. So that's the goal here. We are definitely launching Cadence today, but the push over the course of the next weeks or so will be on Rhythm so that Cadence eventually sells. That's just the way it works. So there you go. Next in line. What's next? What is next is the second Blackstaff Siblings book, which is a highly emotional, highly charged book. Release date on that, though. Release date is probably not for another 12 weeks or so. So we are a little bit behind because, of course, the Cadence beta got behind, and I wasn't going to release that until I was sure that it was a solid piece of work. So it looks like possibly an October release for that. In which case, I'm hoping to make up for the third release of the year with a romance release, but we'll get into that very shortly. I've already got about 10 to 15,000 words written, but I've got the complete outline done for the second Blackstaff Siblings novel. You should hear about the title probably in the next 6 weeks or so. I'll release what the title is going to be. Again, this is probably the most emotional of this particular trilogy, and one of the harder books to write as far as from a personal perspective. So, it deals a lot with loss and betrayal and things of that nature that if you read the first book, then you'll understand kind of why when I say that the perspective of this book is primarily not from Sarah's point of view, but from Granite's. And if you read the last book, you'll understand kind of the tone and the theme of what's going on with Granite at the end of the last novel. So that is why it's going to be a little bit harder to write. I'm giving myself an extra week for the writing, and then I'm giving Beta an extra week to sort through, all of the emotional baggage that's going to be, part of that particular novel. But it's also, I think, going to be kind of my version of The Empire Strikes Back, if you know what I mean. The second big emotional hit that happens in a series like this. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. That is in good hands, and I do expect that to be done on time. But everything this year is pushed back, of course, because of the long beta. Finally, let's talk about the romance that I was chatting about. I received some rather interesting feedback from one of the 2 publishing houses who wanted the full version. They wanted it not to be as, let's say, family friendly of a romance as I had in mind. I was going for a cute Studio Ghibli, romance that is emotionally impactful for, everyone involved, but you wouldn't be embarrassed to show your teenager, for example. The feedback that I got from the first studio is that's absolutely not going to fly. This needs to, have a deeper, more adult verbiage, a deeper, more adult relationship, and far more descriptive love scenes. So, yeah, that's not exactly the vision I had in mind for this particular novel. I can do that. I just don't want to do that with this particular property, right? I could even do it in the same world, as it were, but not this story. This story is supposed to be quite literally an adult fairy tale, It's Studio Ghibli style, so you don't. Anyway, they I think they understood that, but they also understood that for their demographic, for their audience, it wasn't going to work. So rather than getting into the whole revamp process and trying to give them something else, I basically told them, listen, I can create something else for you, and when I do, I'll query that and I'll be back. I'll come back to you as far as a query. But that query is still outstanding with another publisher, and they're supposed to be reading it and what have you. So we're still in the running. We're still in the ballpark with that one. I'll let everyone know as soon as I hear something. That is a possibility of a release this year, so that would count as my 3rd book for the year, and then we'll be ahead of the game for next year. I'll have a big. There won't be a holiday release, and unless it is the romance novel, and then I'll have a big head start on my main properties for next year. And if romance comes into play as far as one of my genres, I'll be able to dedicate slots to it as required. So there you go. So that's what's happening in the world of Bill. Kane's release today. I'm excited. I have to go. This is going to be a lot of work and a lot of hype, and I'm going to go get to it. So I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. It is rainy here in rainy old Belfast, and I hope that wherever you are, the weather is a lot better and that you have a safe and prosperous weekend. Thank you so much.